All right, here we go. Playoffs have started. We are going to the semifinals. We are in the far-fetched four, or something corny like that somebody said in the Discord. I'm not really sure who that was. All right. Anyway, we had some really good matchups this week. Couple nail biters, couple that some calcs go a little different in team prep. Some plays don't get made. We might have some different outcomes, but overall is pretty solid. And like I said in the Discord, we got a lot of cool stories going into this week. So we kicked it off. Berg and I played this one in secret, kept it low key. Hope you guys enjoyed the fake match. Thought that was a pretty good idea. But this is what our real match looked like. Berg brought Victini, Tentacruel, Corviknight, Cobalion, Charizard, and Rotom. And I had Starmie, Lele, Volcanion, Aegislash, Mandibuzz, and Clefable. When I was kind of creating that fake match that Berg and I played, I got very scared of Choice Banded Zapdos, so I was pretty happy he didn't bring that. Aegislash was pretty much exclusively for that. Against Berg's team, it does not really fare too well against Scalds from Tentacruel. Can't eat anything from Victini, Charizard, or Rotom well. It can kind of deal with Corviknight, but Corviknight can pressure stall any sort of special moves, so it was a good answer to Cobalion this game, but it was really here because I was so scared of Choice Banded Zapdos. Otherwise, I brought two of my Psychic Core. Mandibuzz is a good Victini answer, same with Volcanion, being able to eat V-Creates. Berg has a pretty tough speed tier on his team. It's all base 100s at his top end, so bringing Starmie made a lot of sense, have something to outspeed everything without Scarf. And then I brought Choice Scarf Volcanion to 1 point outspeed, like Charizard and Victini or Zapdos or whatever. So that was kind of my answer for his speed. But yeah, we'll just get right into this. I let off Volcanion since I knew it was Choice Scarfed, and the spread I was running, it was not going to die to even like a Scarf. He would have had to be Scarfed with Charizard to be faster than me, and there was nothing Scarf Charizard could do to kill Volcanion in one hit, so the Steam Eruption was pretty free, even if he switched to Tento on that first turn, and risk getting a burn, waste his Black Sludge, we're looking good there, so I went into Aegislash here as kind of an interesting move. I was assuming Berg would know about Water Absorb, so he wouldn't go for the Scald, so I felt pretty safe with my physical Aegislash going in here, not getting Scald burnt. The only other attacking move I was expecting out of Tenta would have been a Poison type move, so I felt like this was a good middle ground. And then he showed off the Mirror Coat, and the calc I was running, my Lele, since I'm running choice specs on it, Psyshock was going to kill based off of like some of his other Tentacruel spreads. I'm sorry, I was talking about my Life Orb Starmie, and I was running Modest on it because Modest max speed outspeeds base 100s by 1 point, and my Modest Starmie was supposed to get that roll, but he ran a very defensive Tentacruel and it ended up living that. And I got lucky he didn't Mirror Coat right there because I would have lost Starmie, but I kind of would have taken that trade anyway, because getting rid of Tentacruel, I mean, just look at what Volcanion does to his team now. It would have been fine either way. Switch out to Aegislash, because I know the worst thing it can do to me here is like a Volt Switch or whatever. But I'd be able to pivot with what I have defensively in the back, so I just start boosting up here, throw up a massive close combat, and let's see, what do I do here? Switch to Mandibuzz. I'm scouting for what he's got. I realize here this is not Choice Banded, and I was running Weak Armor on Mandibuzz. Really funny set there. That way I could outspeed him and hit him with a Foul Play on the next turn. Yeah, I don't know. I wanted to get a little goofy with it, but Volcanion pretty much is going to clean up the next two. And then I think I go into Lele to take out. Yeah, so I let Clefable go down here. Just middle ground. I didn't want Lele taking an Iron Head. Thought Clefable might be able to live a little bit and then handle that. So yeah, I just went into Lele here to clean it up. But yeah, I mean, Bird got caught off guard by my Choice Scarf on turn 1. That really just kind of put him on the back foot, and he couldn't catch up from there, which is pretty tough. But yeah, no, I'm proud of how I kind of prepped for it. And like I said, making that fake match, I got very scared of the potential Choice Banded Zapdos along with Belly Drum Charizard, because as you guys saw how much damage that did to me, it was insane. That game was great though. Alright, well, GG's to Berg. I'm moving on to the final 4. And then in our other top seed, E versus Tommy, the 2 versus 7 game. Let's look at the team comps here. Running Guts Heracross. I think this was like a knockoff, like Support Thundurus. I want to say this was AV Tyranitar, Physically Defensive Swampert with Rest Sleep Talk as a good Darmanitan answer. Physically Defensive Weezing, once again, to be able to deal with some of his physical attackers. And then Celesteela was actually a boosting set. You know, if he was able to get rid of, like, some of his pretty chunky Pokemon like Zapdos and Chansey, he might be able to put in some work with that. And then looking at E's side here, he's got Darmanitan. We already know what that demon's going to be doing. Mimikyu, I want to say it was Life Orb. I think that got knocked off at one point. Standard Chansey. Physical Nidoking, and that kind of bit him in the butt towards the end. I don't know if he had enough momentum to really claw back if it was special anyway. But Physical Nidoking, at least against this team comp, was not that great of a matchup. Zapdos matches up super well into him. Just had to preserve that against Tyranitar. And then Excadrill, obviously the glue of the team. You can bring in every week. It's gonna do its job and do its job well. But we'll kind of break this down as we go. So this was pretty big, revealing the Rocky helmet, so he had to keep that in mind every time he brought Darmanitan out. I didn't agree with Tommy's decision to stay in here. Like, this is a perfect opportunity just to get your Heracross in on the switch so it burns itself on the next turn. You don't have to waste a turn waiting for you to get burnt. Worst thing Chansey would do would be Seismic Toss into Heracross or Toxic it, but then your Guts, so you know you're good on that end. Let's see what Chansey ends up doing here. Right, so would have been a good opportunity to either go Weezing, Celesteela, or Heracross. I mean, we'll see when he switches out, but he's running Natural Cure on Chansey, so like this burn didn't do anything for Tommy in the long run. And then, see, he goes into Heracross on the next turn anyway and eats the Seismic Toss, so could have just done that turn 1 and been fine, but, you know, I guess the burn is a little bit better than the Toxic in the long run. Running Knockoff on Heracross was huge this game. Huge. Really limits how many switch-ins Zapdos has with the Stealth Rocks. Definitely can't be as good of a defensive check. I don't think Tommy would have killed with Facade from there. He might have. 64 against bulky Zapdos, that's probably a close roll. But Tommy probably just wanted to scout out and make sure that Zapdos wasn't actually faster than him. Tyranitar is obviously a perfect answer with how specially defensive it is. The Earthquake, possibly checking to see if Zapdos was going to roost on it. That way it didn't hit it with a rock move. I understand the play. I get it. I think, I want to say, like, maybe a 4-hit Rock Blast would have actually done more damage than Earthquake anyway, even if he did roost, but, you know, no harm, no foul. Let's see here. Knockoff spam once again, trying to get the Chansey to get knocked off, but obviously anything else that switches in is not going to appreciate it too, especially Zapdos at 58%. So getting rid of the Life Orb on Mimikyu is massive. Now Weezing really can just handle whatever here. There's a really cool play involving Tommy and Mimikyu later on in this game that I want to talk about. Shadow Ball and Weezing, that was going to be a good answer to his ghost types on East side. Swampert, great call going into that, getting a little bit of chip with the Rocky Helmet on the spin. So right here, Tommy makes a really good call going for the rest, because he wasn't going to live 2 of those Earthquakes, especially after toxic damage. And then gets a little unlucky here, Sleep Talk rest, so he just wasted a turn, unfortunately, but that's kind of the luck that you get with Sleep Talk sometimes. But there you go, he puts his rocks back up. Now he's in a position where he's like, well, I guess I'll spin. I got my leftovers recovery, but still has to take that Rocky Helmet. Tommy, I guess, was assuming he was going to Earthquake there. You know, it's not like you can make that read perfectly. So no harm, no foul there. Second time getting Sleep Talk Rest. He's burning up the comments right there. This is the play I'm talking about. Tommy did his research, learned that Mimikyu had Woodhammer, and realized that Swampert being healthy is extremely important with an 84% Darmanitan with no rocks up. So he made a brilliant call going into Celesteela there. Wheezing obviously would have been a fine play as well, but Celesteela against this team comp wasn't really doing a whole lot anyway, so might as well be a defensive check to Mimikyu. What does he go here? Yep, Autotomize. And then, unfortunately, is slower than Choice Scarf Darmanitan. And he says, fuck your choice right there in the comment. So, I don't know. If I was Tommy, I probably just would have went straight Swampert. Like, knowing that Chansey's this healthy, it probably was not the correct time to set up with Celesteela. Like, once you set up, like, what are you really doing afterwards? Like, yeah, okay, say you killed Darmanitan, Chansey just sits in there and then walls you for the rest, so I would have held off on that a little bit and just gone straight Swampert once I saw the Darmanitan switch, but it's all good. Tommy miscounts his sleep turns. He had Sleep Talk Rest, and then he switched it in. Let's see here. Oh yeah, and then he got the Stealth Rocks up on the last turn. So those were his two Sleep Talk turns. Shouldn't have clicked that there. Should have clicked Scald in that case. Got a really so I mean this kind of canceled out, right? You know, if Paul hits the Hurricane, but he actually woke up and hit Scald, maybe it's a little different. But anyway, Tommy messed up with that. It's all good. He still has a fantastic switch to Tyranitar all day, every day for Zapdos. And then I think he goes for the Rock Blast here. Yep, correct play. And he gets a 5-hit. And then along with Sand makes it a super easy 3-hit right here to kill. Yep. Alright, Mimikyu comes out. You still got Wheezing. Rocks and whatever Mimikyu can do. Not going to do a whole lot. Paul, I think, started to feel a little bit desperate in this situation. You know, like, he's ran Drain Punch before on Mimikyu, and Tommy was aware of that. That's why he didn't stay in with Tyranitar there. Paul probably should have seen the switch coming. You know, just because of, like, previous sets that he ran. And so Mimikyu ends up losing a ton of health because of Rocky Helmet and everything. Tommy, I think, goes for the Shadow Ball here, trying to pick off the Mimikyu. Good switch to Exca. And then one thing that you can do while you guys are playing, if you don't know this, you hover over a Pokemon and it will show you possible abilities. So right here, Nidoking could be Poison Point, Rivalry, or Sheer Force. But once you have something that shows what its ability is, it will just say it right there. So like, let's see. I guess with Tyranitar, its secondary ability is Unnerve. So right here, you know, the Sand came up. That's obviously a visual cue, but it now no longer says it could be Unnerve, right? Like, we know its ability is Sandstream. With Wheezing right here, since it never announced its ability, which is something that Neutralizing Gas always does when it comes onto the field, and Misty Terrain didn't come up, you have to know that it's Levitate there. So Tommy switched out into an Earthquake from Excadrill, which is, I mean, either like a great call, thinking he was going to switch out because you were going to use a Steel move, and that's why he went to Swampert. Got a lot of chip there, but if Wheezing just stayed in, it wouldn't have got touched. Paul might not have known that it announces Neutralizing Gas, but yeah, Swampert just being physically defensive here is able to just tank all this. Rolls a Scald here. So he's had 2 Sleep Talk Rests and 2 Sleep Talk Stealth Rocks, I believe. So finally gets the Scald there. easily is able to take 2 of those and gets really lucky here and gets another Scald. So really massive out of Swampert there. Nidoking comes in, cleans up Swampert. You know, it's tough to say whether or not that's like the 100% optimal play on Tommy's end. You obviously want Swampert for Darmanitan, but against everything else on his team, I don't really know what else you have a chance to rest on. So he was probably just trying to get another rest off right there. Right here, this is Jolly Heracross, so at worst it's speed tying with Nidoking. It's a little tough. I think looking at Paul's team here, I probably would have went Thunderous here to knock off to make the Nidoking a little bit weaker. But it was also huge that he was running Jolly on Heracross to have a chance to actually win from here. Say he was running Adamant. Nidoking, I mean, it's looking like it's over. He's got a really solid setup to take him out. However, I don't know if he's running anything poison. I don't know if he's running any poison moves to hit Weezing, because the ground moves won't touch it, obviously. But yeah, Tommy comes in, goes for the knockoff, and then he actually just stayed in. He was like, you know what, I think I'm faster. And he was. He was running bulky Zapdos. Pretty obvious Shadow Sneak coming in, but so if I'm Tommy, I'm expecting a Shadow Sneak here because of how bulky his Mimikyus have been. You know, I would have thought that I would be faster than him. So he would have went for a Shadow Sneak. You know, I still think Weezing is like always the correct play, and then have Heracross as a sack later. That way Mimikyu would die to the Rocky Helmet recoil. That's probably what I would have done in that situation. Like, there's nothing Mimikyu could do to one-hit KO Weezing from this percentage, so I probably would have just used that as my switch in for it. See here, Play Rough did 11%, Rocky Helmet kills, so you could have had Heracross in, say against Darmanitan later in the game. You just come in, since you know it's choice locked, you die to the rocks, and then you realize like what move he's actually going to stay in. And so yeah, Thunder Punch is the only move he has to hit Weezing at this point. And yeah, obviously he has Stone Edge too, but of consistency. Got the crit, Thundurus is faster. And since it's at 100% because of the heavy duty boots, Darmanitan has to lock itself into something to touch it. Ends up being Flare Blitz and dies to recoil. So yeah, that was a sick game, really sick game. Well played on both ends. Tommy's really coming into form here. Pretty scary. He's got, we'll talk about the matchup after I break down the next game, but he's got a tough matchup next week, and yeah, excited to see what he's doing. Paul, great season, brother. You've played outrageously well. Such good prep all season long. It can't be said enough. I'm so impressed with that. So really excited seeing that going into the next season and how it all looks from there. All right, so we got Ty and Dodge in our third playoff matchup. Let's see what we got here. Looking at the matchup overall, on Dodge's side, I mean, it's been kind of a problem all season, not having a great electric type answer. So Tyler brings 2 extremely strong electric types, and Dodge does not have a very effective switch in to them. You know, he's running physical on Coco, which is actually able to hit Virizion really well because it has Brave Bird. And then like Special Thundurus is just, you know, it can put in so much work here. I don't even think it came into the game, but we'll talk about why. So right here, all right. Honestly, I'll say this, not the worst play from Dodge. You scout some information there. What you have to do, though, is realize that the only way he would kill you is if he was choice banded with that Outrage. And from there, you go into your Fairy type, which is correct, because he can only use Outrage. He's still locked into it. But you bring this absolute fire Azumarill set, which actually ends up biting you in the butt here because you end up having to sack 2 things. So you trap him with Whirlpool. He can't go anywhere. He has to use Outrage still. He's choice banded. That's the only way you kill Rotom. You didn't see any sort of life orb recoil or anything, you know he's banded. So you go into Azumarill here, you never have to click Perish Song. You never have to, because he cannot kill you. Between Toxic and Whirlpool damage, you'll end up killing him. And he Toxic, that's fine. How much did Whirlpool do? It did 8%. So Toxic's the correct play to do most damage as possible. Protect was not the play, though. Going for another Whirlpool would have been, because potentially that would have got the roll at 9% right there, and Garchomp would have died, and you could have switched out to whatever he put in. But since you Perish Songed, you had to go into a sack afterwards, and unfortunately, I mean, like, it's such a tough call, right? You have one electric resist, and I probably would have tried to preserve that as humanly long as possible, right? Like, Coco and Thundurus are just so scary against this team. But you had to choose a sack there, because now you have a Choice Banded Outrage coming for you, and either you just let Azumarill die, or, you know, you get Virizion out. Maybe keeping Azumarill in probably would have been the correct play. Just looking at, like, it doesn't beat Coco, it doesn't beat Thundurus. It doesn't even beat Skarmory if it's not one-on-one. Meaning there's nothing else on Dodge's team that Skarmory could Whirlwind you out into. Because we know from the last matchup they played, Skarmory with Whirlwind was an absolute problem. So Garchomp gets 2 for its life. And then Dodge has to play a little catch-up here. He does a really good job, though. Stone Edge hitting Goodra really hard. Dragonite's a good medium ground play, not really expecting like a Draco Meteor or Ice Beam or anything. Definitely was not ready for the Ice Beam to do 93% though, I can tell you that. And then I'm sure he ran the calc and was just like in a tough spot from there, because the only thing he was running on Dragonite that would have killed would have been Outrage, and now he's locked into it. He gets gooeyed by Goodra, so now he's slower, and Timid Indeedee is able to just clean him up here because he can't switch out because of the Outrage. Entei coming in, hitting like a nuke with the Sacred Fire. But yeah, Coco, I mean, if he really wanted to, it could have cleaned up from here. But I think Ty was running like Adamant on it, so it wasn't going to be faster than the Aerodactyl. And now this is the position where it's tough, right? You want to Azumarill in on Skarmory, but like anything this set can do to Skarmory is either predicated on you being able to switch out into something on the Perish Song and him not having Whirlwind, or not showing up against a Steel type, right? So like, you make the right switch into the body press here, but you're not running heavy duty boots on Arrow. Whirlwind just switches you out because it's a negative priority. Protect is basically over by the time it comes through. And I ran the calc. You were going to need like the biggest crit of all crits plus another one to kill Skarmory from there. And Dodge just throws in the White Tail. He's holding up the flag and says, Skarmory, you're coming with me. And that's it. So great game to both of them. That game was a lot closer than I expected based off of team preview. I was very nervous about the electric types on Ty's team. So Dodge made that very competitive for sure. Ty not running anything faster than Arrow was a little bit sketchballs. But, he was able to work around it. Skarmory, super great answer to a lot of Dodge's options. Maybe bringing like Infiltrator, Chandelure would have been a good call. But yeah, that was our third playoff game. Really great game. Ty is now going to play Tommy in their regional, their Final Four. So we're going down to the last game. This was played last night. We got Jet Lag versus slightly less Jet Lag. And Joe brought a very similar team to what he did last time. I think he just swapped out Moltres for or is swapped in Moltres for Executor, I think. I don't know if he brought a Lecky. Maybe he brought Finny last time, but same concept. He was running like a Trick Room sort of team to be able to counter his speed boosters. Obviously need Fire Presence for Ferrothorn. Rillaboom's a good call for Melodic. Matt, I think, ran pretty much everything standard here. Weavile, I thought it was going to see a little bit more play this season because it's really solid, but Matt just kind of keeping it on the bench till the moment's right. And we'll just get into this. So 2v1 Pano next round. All right, yeah, we saw the double electric lead. I don't know if Joe was running enough speed on the Lecky to be faster than Scarf Circuitry, but I'm sure he figured nothing Circuitry could do to him, if it is Scarfed, would kill him. So he just stayed in with a Lecky, threw off a Volt Switch, got a little chunk off on Pharaoh here. It's a good call. Now here, I mean, this might have been the most obvious Melodic switch of all time. It's tough. He has a really good defensive core, right? Melodic and Ferrothorn are so solid together because if Joe wanted to go into his answer, he probably should have just doubled out into a Lecky. Going into Rillaboom just lets Ferrothorn kind of come back in and get Leftovers recovery and Grassy Terrain at that point. So I think just making the double right there, switch into Moltres, off the Volt Switch, into the Ferrothorn, and then just go straight a Lecky afterwards, puts him in a lot better situation because, like, Melodic obviously is coming in on Moltres every time. And plus, even if you got the Flamethrower burn, he's getting burnt either way. Now here we go. This is what I'm talking about. Matt got crit through Light Screen with Torkoal's Eruption last game on Blaziken. Huge momentum swing. Joe probably would have won the game still, but like that just really solidified it. And Matt's returning the favor with a little Ice Beam Freeze action on his best Melodic answer. So yeah, there goes Rillaboom. In the grand scheme of things, it probably wasn't doing a whole lot. As long as Ferrothorn was alive, Rillaboom did not have a good answer it was not going to be a good answer to a lot of this stuff. So mostly just a mental sort of game at that point. Really messes you up mentally seeing something like that. And yeah, he's running Substitute Thunder on a Lecky. Really interesting set. Let's see. Yeah, just get a little chip here, crit with the T-Bolt. Classic. So he's doing his best to whittle down this Ferrothorn. It's so fat, and giving it Grassy Terrain is obviously not helping that. And we get the 2-no Gyro P coming in, setting up the Rain Dance for a Lecky to be pounding these Thunders. And Joe unfortunately forgot about Prankster on Klefki, giving it +1 priority for the Toxic. Really tough right there. Really tough. Dazzling Gleam is going to be able to bust the sub. So you just lost 25% health for nothing on that. Might have been able to 2-hit Klefki or something with the Thunder. Let's see, Light Screen's up, so... let's see, Klefki was running Leftovers, right? He's only got 5 turns of it. I do like the defog play. I am a little confused as to why Matt stayed in with Ferrothorn. Maybe he was calling that Joe would have just stayed in and not attacked him. I'm really interested to hear kind of what their thought process was on that, because I don't know. I still think Ferrothorn is extremely valuable, especially against Mamoswine. I want to say he was running physically defensive on it. Obviously it's not going to do a whole lot against Torkoal, but the Lecky and Mamoswine, it has a really good check for. So I don't know what Matt was thinking. I mean, maybe it was just a really good call that he was going to either double out or just defog. So Joe losing heavy duty boots on Moltres ended up really hurting in the end. Let's see, P2, double out to Lecky. He's already toxic. It would have been so nice right here to have 45% health instead of 20 because of that sub. Because now he's really limited. He's going to take 12% on the next toxic. Unless he switches out, it'll just be 6. A lot of chip there. And with Moltres being his only defogger, it can't really do a whole lot. Torkoal comes in, is able just to bang out an eruption. Matt, making that play, I get it. Like, you're just burning Trick Room turns there. Aleki's super weak, just kind of getting through it. But now you got to burn 2 by sacking 2, and then you get Protect with Blaziken here. And I guess he didn't even Protect. He was like, you know what? Torkoal's not going to crit me with Eruption twice. So he was like, you know what? I'm good. And right here, unfortunately, with rocks up, it did just enough where close combat from Blaziken is actually going to kill Mamoswine through the Choppleberry. Joe put a lot of bulk on it this week, but with the rocks up, it just gave it enough to weaken it for that. But now Moltres has to take 50% from rocks, and close combat's just going to kind of wipe from here. So, really well played to Matt. He made the correct call when he needed to with the defog on Moltres. I want to say, yes. Oh yeah, that's right. Blaziken did not have a fire move, so Matt messed up in team prep with that. But he was running Earthquake, close combat. Say he actually had a fire move, and then like Protect, I believe, or SD. Either way, he didn't really have a good way to touch Moltres, so knocking off the heavy duty boots right there allowed Blaziken to kill it with close combat. So that ended up being the play of the game right there. I know the freeze was huge, but I don't think it actually mattered that much in the end. The one play of just staying in with Ferrothorn and getting a knockoff onto Moltres just won in the game, so put his nuts on the table and it paid off for him. So we'll go over here. We are looking at the rest of the playoffs. WPT versus Chicago. My only loss this year. Coming up in the Final Four. Gonna be looking forward to that. Bring some heat to that game. Make it spicy for everybody. And then Ty versus Tommy. Let's go. Another redemption arc down here. Tommy's cooking though. Tommy is cooking. He's really hitting his stride. Both these games this week I think are going to be really solid. If you guys have not yet, please vote for the All-Star game. I want to get this kind of scheduled up and like put together for like the day of the championship. I kind of want to do it leading into the battle so we're all together, everybody's watching it, it's a whole event. I'm also thinking we're going to push the championship back and have a bye week in here. So we're going to play these games this week, at the end of this week, and then no games next week, and then we'll do the championship game the following weekend. So put in your like availability. Let's talk about this a little bit more in the Discord. I'll be active with that, making sure we're getting this organized. But I'd really like to get everybody together for it. I think that would be really fun. And yeah, we got some cool stuff planned. I'm in the works with some stuff. So vote for your All-Stars, and we'll keep this thing rolling into the next season. All right, y'all. See you next time. Peace.